For all of you who listen to Submersion and own an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I personally use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcast I want to listen to, select it as a favorite, and have it just a click away. Make sure to select Submersion as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices. Episode 61. Woo!
Hey-o.
And, here we go.
There it is.
We got 3 of us on tonight.
Yeah. Minimum number. Three's company.
Oh, yes it is.
6 a crowd when it comes to our podcast, right? We never do 6.
6 is excessive.
Yeah. But 5.
We will do 5.
That's a sweet spot.
Yeah. So, yeah, you got Kyle, Jamie, and the one, the only, Zach.
Hi. How are you?
Oh.
Hey, hi. Oh, well, we're doing pretty great.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's good.
Thanks for asking, actually.
You're welcome. You know, it's a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday.
Don't pull back the curtain too far. We don't want the listeners to know everything about how the magic happens.
We record these the morning that they're released.
Right. They actually go out live, technically.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Anytime you listen, we're actually just sitting there. We have to redo the whole episode. We have to go through the whole gambit again because it's always live.
Right. Exactly. So first caller?
And we'll sit and wait.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, people have just been loving on the Street Sharks. Who wouldn't? But now we decided to get back into movies.
New cycle, yeah.
New cycles.
End of the bad movie cycle that I tricked you guys into doing because I said it was an action cycle.
Yeah, you called it
actually
action-packed.
Nah. It was mostly bad movies.
It was action-packed, but mostly it was all bad movies.
Yeah. And it was great, but we got a little tired of that. Little break with the Street Sharks. And back into, what would you say this cycle is? Good
This
movies?
is classical movies,
Yeah,
man.
classic movies.
But we
That's
can't
classic.
also forget that people have also been really enjoying the Simpsons episode.
That's good.
But yeah, no, one thing, listening to the Street Sharks, I realized something that I think there was an obvious name for the submersible that we have that comes off of the Wetfloater.
What's that?
The Merve.
Oh, the Merve.
Yeah. Classic. It's a
Hop
play.
in the Merve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a play off of my multiple times that I misspeak about different things. I never remember much about the movies, even though I'm recapping them. And I called the submersible in Sub Down the Merve. And everyone was like, "You're dumb." And I was like, "Thank you." That's why they call me the Ointment.
Oh, that's right. I got to update your name.
Yeah.
Goody, good.
Yep.
All right. So, Zach,
Yeah,
it's up to you, man. Should we get into this thing right now, or should we
Wait.
banter a little more?
Wait for it. Now it's time.
Oh, it's not quite time yet.
Oh, man.
Because we also have to wait for it. Still waiting.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Time.
There it is.
Oh.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. Mac East Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion.
Wow.
Yeah, that took a while.
You're right on it. You're
my
just-
bad. Yeah.
Johnny on the spot right there.
You could hear I didn't even have the volume turned on my premium sound effect machine.
Right.
That's what the beep was.
Right.
Premium.
Well, anyway.
Better than mine.
Yeah.
Zach, what'd we watch this week?
We watched a nice little classic film from the World War II era, Crash Dive.
And this is the second time that we've done a movie in close proximity to another movie with that exact same title. Because we just watched Crash Dive, 4 weeks ago or something?
We watched Crash Dive 2, and now Crash Dive.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that I found in the trivia on IMDb about this 1943 World War II era film about submarines was they went out of their way to say, oh, by the way, this is not in any way related to Crash Dive 1996. It's like, oh, okay, thanks.
No shit.
Yeah.
They
was
put that on
confused.
this?
On the trivia for this, they were like, that is not a remake. The sequel Crash Dive 2 is not a sequel to the remake of this film. Like, they're unrelated. It's like, yeah, obviously.
No kidding.
Michael Dudikoff was not remaking the 1943 film Crash Dive.
He could have, though.
Yeah, he could have 100% starred in this film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, spoiler alert for later. No, I'm joking. I don't have a Michael Dudikoff.
So, anyways, this is, like we mentioned, an older film. It is classic, as these next movies will be. From 1943, directed by Archie Mayo, starring Tyrone Power as the stalkerish Lieutenant Ward Stewart.
That may be being nice to what he does.
It is. It is being nice. Ann Baxter as the love interest as Jean Hewlett. Dana Andrews as Lieutenant Commander Dewey Connors. And James Gleason as Chief Mike Mac McDonald.
Dun,
Is he your favorite character? You're really giving him a big intro.
Well, I don't know. Just when you get to like the last guy, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So this film actually did win an Oscar for, do you know what it is, Zach?
Oh, I looked it up on Wikipedia. Isn't it? It's not sound, isn't it? Wasn't it for like some sort of effects, I think, or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Best effects.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Yeah. And I could see that. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I could see it too.
1943 film. It looked pretty cool. A lot of the stuff they were doing.
Yeah. It looked good.
Yes.
We'll talk about that for hours.
Literally. Yeah.
For the next 3
Buckle
hours,
up.
sit down and listen.
Yeah. As we go scene by scene through everything. All right, let's get into this, man.
Alrighty. So we open. There's a rescue boat, kind of like just like floating around the ocean. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Help, help, help.
Is this a submarine going to go blow these survivors out of the water? I hope so.
I hope they ram them.
Unfortunately, we see a bunch of PT boats come along, and never mind. I guess these people are going to get rescued. Whatever. And they come along, and they're like, hey, get onto this PT boat. And then they were like, oh, shit, there's a submarine over there. And I'm like, oh, finally. And they're like, no, that's a bad submarine. We better go get it. And so they go like, prisoners, or not prisoners.
Prisoners.
Survivors, get back in your boat. We're going after the submarine. And they jet off in their PT boats, and this guy loves his PT boats. Don't even get it wrong. Like, he loves the maneuverability, the speed.
He gets a hard on for these things.
He fucking loves PT boats, and he's like, I'm going to show this submarine what's up with my new PT boat. He goes off. They're depth charging. It's kind of a small boat, and they're just like kind of throwing some depth charts over.
Oh, yeah.
They find this submarine can't maneuver away from it, and they depth charge it, blow it up, and he's all smiles, and I am all frowns, because I'm like, whoa, you just destroyed potentially the only submarine in this film, and we may have made a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's like a picture in the newspaper, him being like celebrated. He's like, hooray.
And this is Lieutenant Ward Stewart.
Yes.
We'll just call, I don't know, the stalker? I don't know what you want to call him.
Yeah, we could, eventually.
We'll just call him Ward.
See. Yeah. He's kind of supposed to be, I guess, charming, but he just comes off a little stalkery right now. Yeah. As for most of this film. So anyways, he gets a call to Washington, it's to Washington, right?
Yeah, somewhere like that.
Or to wherever, New London or wherever. Mm-hmm. And he goes there to see his uncle. And he's like, oh, it's so great to, see you. This gives me some opportunity kind of to be able to see you. The guy, his uncle's getting shipped out. He's heading to Washington. That's right.
Yeah.
He's like, well, why'd you call me here? And he's like, well, how do you like your position? And he goes on and on about these PT boats. He's like, oh, shit. You can't even believe how great these things are.
He goes on for like 5 minutes talking about how great it is.
Yeah. And his uncle's like, well, but you've kind of loved everything. You like, remember when you were on battleships and you said battleships were great? He's like, yeah, but a PT boat's like a battleship, but it's like faster or more maneuverable.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but you really also like submarines when you were on submarines for 3? He's like, yeah, but it's like a submarine, except it's like faster.
Yeah.
And then they keep on saying how he loved everything that he's done. He seems to be supposed to be like an all-star. He's like really good at everything he's done. And so what they're saying is they need people for submarines.
And he's like, wait.
Yeah.
I'd much rather sink them than sail them.
Yeah. And he is like, you should see his face. Yeah. As he realizes what's happening, he's like, fuck. Like, I don't want to be on this submarine. Like, well, sorry. Do you see me? I'm behind a desk. Do you think I want to be behind a desk? No, I want my dick out and I want to be on a submarine, but I can't be there. I got to be behind this desk because that's what the war needs. You know what the war needs from you? And he's like, shit. Needs me to be on a submarine, right? He's like,
ooh, yes. Got him there.
So he's like, fine, whatever. He's like, you're going to be an executive officer on this submarine. What was it called? Corsair? The Corsair?
The Corsair.
Yeah. And he's going to head to Connecticut to report, or he's in Connecticut now. He's going to be reporting to it.
Yeah.
We flash over to the submarine is going to be on, and the captain is pissed. Why?
Oh, big time.
Why is he pissed?
They've been sitting in dock just watching subs go out, boat after boat.
They got brooms up on their thing. They've been sweeping away the enemy.
The guys are even getting fat, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true.
It's like not even going to fit in the submarine soon.
Because they've been stuck there because they are missing an XO.
And us, the viewer, we're like, oh, boy.
We know what's going to happen.
Oh, shit. So anyways, he's like, you know what? You guys all wait here. I'm going to go get an XO. So he storms off, and out comes the, commander or whatever. And he's like, Commander, you fucking get me an XO now. And the commander's like, fine, he's right here. And he's like, oh, shit.
Really? He's like, that worked?
Yeah.
Cool.
And he's super excited because he's like, oh, man, we're going to be shipping out.
The captain is excited.
Yeah, captain's like jazzed because he's like, we're finally going to ship out. But the XO, the new XO, our boy Ware, he's like, I actually need a little time to do a personal errand.
But this was also funny because he's like, the captain Dewey is talking to him like, oh, are you excited? He's like, this is actually a big disappointment after my last boat.
Yeah.
That was,
oh my God.
That was one of the quotes I wrote down, was because that cracked me up. He's like, yeah, this will be quite the letdown. It's like, what?
Yeah. So good. Just starting like a new job. That's how you walk in.
This will be a letdown.
This pretty much blows.
Well, what can you do?
Yeah.
Oh, can I cut
guess
in
I'm
real
stuck
quick?
with it. Yeah,
cut in because we're doing this live, we said, right? So our listeners need to hear the news.
What's the news?
2-0 Blue Jackets.
Oh, no. Yeah, so Bruins playing Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets up 2-0. Damn it. Anyways, he starts to head off. Now, what the viewers don't realize if they haven't watched the 1943 Crash Dive is these two characters, when I'm first introduced to them, had a very difficult time telling them apart.
They look the exact same.
They look very similar. They're just tall, classically handsome guys with black hair. So
black, just slick down hair with the chiseled chin.
Yeah.
And like, even if you look at the movie poster, they look the same.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, because then the captain's like, I'm going to run an errand for a couple hours. You take command to presumably like someone. I think there's another character named Brownie. Probably Brownie's in charge or something. So anyways, we switch over to a train station. Jean Hewlett is coming out. She's got a bunch of girls with her because she works at a boarding school. And they're getting to a train. And surprise, surprise, there's a guy there to meet him. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this is our boy Ware's. Ward's. Yeah, saying the name's wrong. Ward's, girl, this was what he wanted to, this is why he needed a weekend leave.
Yeah.
So they're talking. He's got like a present for her. She's like, oh, we're heading to Washington. She's like, oh, come with me. Don't you have some time? And he's like, no, we're shipping out soon. I got to stay. And I was like, oh, well, what is he doing for the rest of the week? I was so confused at this point. I was like, I don't understand. I thought he had the whole weekend off. Okay, well, whatever. And she's heading off to Washington, and he forgets to give her the present, and it goes on the way. I'm like, oh, that was weird. And then they're on the train, and all the girls are there going to sleep. They're going to bed as they're heading towards Washington. It's like a sleeper car.
Yeah. And
she heads into bed, and there's a guy in there. And I was like, oh, he tricked her. Because he got on the train, and now he's like surprising her.
But it was also weird because
I had no idea who these people were.
I didn't either.
This is so crazy. I don't understand.
Because you literally see the train pull off, and he's waving, and they go, and then he's in bed.
And I'm like, oh, how funny. That's like a funny way to do it.
But guess what? It's the other guy.
It's the other person.
But they look the exact same.
And I was like, so this, and then I was like, okay, it must have been the captain at the train station, and this is why he needed Ward, and this is why he needed his weekend off. So I finally sorted everything out on what's going on. And so she's getting into bed, seems to not notice that this guy's here, and eventually turns over and was like, oh. And he's like,
there's a man in my bed.
And he's like, oh, why, hello. And he is the smarmiest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. because she's like, get out of my bed. And he's like, it's actually my bed. And then eventually he realizes it's not his bed. And I didn't know if he did this on purpose or something. It seemed like from later implications, it seems like he creeped into her bed.
It's the implication.
And then purposefully or pretended to have made a mistake. That seems to be what happened.
Oh, this guy's a greaseball. Big time.
Yeah. So anyway, she's like, get out of my bed. He keeps on forgetting stuff in the bed. You know that classic thing where you forget something at the apartment or something? I was like, whatever, it's classic. And keeps on forgetting stuff. And she refuses to say good night to him. And so he gets fucking pissed.
Yeah. Because obviously, who wouldn't? Duh.
Yeah. I don't know. So anyways, they go to bed. They end up in Washington. They end up at breakfast, and he's kind of like, hey, I know a bunch of people. I know lots of people in Washington. You know, he's doing that whole thing. I know a ton of people. Don't even worry about it. But I could totally help you get a hotel there. And she's like, fuck off. Like, you don't know me. I'm like basically engaged. So like, get out of here. And so she leaves, and he's even more pissed now. He's like, what the fuck is happening right now? And
I'm so hot. Who wouldn't want a piece of this?
So they get to Washington. She has a super hard, she's having an impossible time getting a hotel room. He's like a hotshot, comes from clearly a lot of money. That was another implication when he met the captain, was like the captain has like a crumpled up cigarettes. He's got this like fancy cigarette case, like clear, and he went to whatever, Annapolis and stuff. So it's clearly he has money. And, you know, the people on the submarine, they don't come from money. They're more like what do they call, pig sailors or whatever they say?
I don't know. I'm not out here trying to cut people down, man.
I'm sorry. And so he talks to like the management of the hotel and is like, tell her I checked out. And then give her the room. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice. He's like leaving. So he's like doing this thing.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Because then he leaves his shit up in this hotel room, goes up, and basically, I think the term would be gaslights her, makes her feel like she did something wrong in order to get a date out of it. Because he's like, how dare you move into my hotel room? I'm getting detectives up here. And she's like, no, I'll do anything. He's like, oh, really, anything? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, I'll do anything. Just don't kick us out. And he's like, date tonight. She's like, oh, this is blackmail. And he's like, well, and he like shrugs his shoulders. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. That's a criminal. What's going on here?
Dude, if only getting dates was that easy, man.
It's our main character is a fucking creeper, like criminal.
Yeah. I think weird. Zach put it best when he said greaseball.
Oh, big time.
He tricks her. He totally tricks her. And seemingly he even says, one of the things he says is like, you never said goodnight to me. You didn't take my offer to help you get a room. Yeah. And now here you are stealing my room. So you got to go on a date with me.
And then obviously, that equates to a date, I guess.
Yeah. And then she's like,
in the 40s.
She's like, fine. And he's like, I'll take you out. I'll have you back by midnight, but we're going to a party. And she's like, okay, fine. They go to the party. And of course, him being like the hotshot who knows everyone, who's like uncle is like an admiral or some shit. And like,
oh yeah.
Clearly, eventually we find out his like grandma's loaded. He comes from all this money and takes her to this fancy thing. And she is like, gets her drunk on champagne, keeps on pouring champagne into her glass. And she's like, oh, I'm a little tipsy from this champagne. And there's so many famous people here. I'm having a wonderful time. And then they smooch.
Oh, yeah.
Which is clearly the end goal was not smooching. That's all I was going to say. No. But then he's like, oh, shit.
He really shuffed her, didn't he, Kyle?
Oh my word!
What's that?
That's our college roommate, and I don't know.
You weren't supposed to say that.
It's not an actual term.
No, he never did anything like that.
So, anyways, he totally tricked her, but he got this smooch out of it. And gets her home at 3 a.m. What were they doing the whole time? Getting some late night Mickey D's or something?
Dude, who knows? But at this time, the students are in that hotel room and they're freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh.
Gotta call the poliase.
Yeah, so we're going to call the cops.
This total creeps are just clearly murdered our teacher. So we should probably call the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, she finally gets home. She's like...
They stumble in.
Yeah. She's like, I had a great time. He wants to do a little more than smooching. And she kind of like... puts the kibosh on that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, because I have all these of my students in the next room.
Yeah.
Scandalous.
Super scandalous. But then the next morning, she jets.
Oh, dude, she gives him the slip, man.
Yeah,
She's
and he's
out
like,
of there.
He's like, where did she go? And he gets the information that she's going back to this boarding school. And he's like, what good fortune. She lives in the same town as I live in. I'm on this new crew of a submarine, and she is also in Connecticut.
No way.
What are the chances? So he goes directly there. There's a little Romeo thing, calling up from the thing up to her window, like, oh, I'm down here now. Guess what? And
At her work.
And she's like, holy shit, my stalker's here. I gotta get rid of him. And like everyone is like, whoa, he's like super hot. Can I go down and get rid of him? And she's like, fuck, fine, I'll go down.
Yeah.
And I'll get rid of this garbage man. And so,
dude, she basically tells him to F off in like 1940s style language.
Yeah. She says, fuck off. And we're like, whoa.
That's why I won Best Effects. Because the visceral reaction the audience got.
Yeah. It's mostly for all the F-bombs that were being dropped. Yeah. They were like, that's an effect, and it's special.
Obviously. And then we see her at dinner.
Yep.
And now who's she with? It's not the stalker grease guy.
Mm-mm.
It's the captain.
Yeah, well, we already saw them smooching at the train station.
But this is where I finally put two and two together, that the captain wasn't the guy, or that was the guy at the train.
Right. Did she also agree at this point to go on another date with him?
Yeah, she did.
The grease ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's playing the field real hard.
Yeah, super hard. If you know what I mean. And, so at this dinner, she's like, we should get married. Because you know what's happening here?
What?
She's got a little feelings. She's feeling like maybe she's falling in love with this grease ball. And so she's like, fucking marry me. And guess what's the captain say?
I can't. I gotta get promoted first. Like, oh, what?
Yeah, well, which is a little.
Actually, what does he say? He's like, I've been meaning to ask you that for weeks.
Right. He's really wanted to marry her, but he needs another stripe because another stripe on his would mean a
pay boost.
Pay boost. Yeah. And he'll be able to pay for like a house and a wedding and all kinds of stuff. He's basically he's painted as being a little like boring, I guess, because he worries about like the finances and stuff like that. But it really isn't it because he's like not rich, and then the other guy doesn't worry about finances because he's loaded. So that's not really like a great message. It's like, yeah, of course you can be like a fun-loving guy who doesn't worry about money because he has like a shitload of money.
Yeah.
So not a great lesson.
No, it's not the best.
I didn't learn a lot.
Yeah. So he's like, no, I'm not going to marry you. She's like, oh shit, I'm going to have to go on this like date with the guy
that I'm falling for.
Right. And is this right? Does the date happen here or does it happen after?
I think it maybe happens after.
After they go off on their first tour or whatever?
Now it's time to set sail.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it must happen. Or whatever. We'll get to the dates and stuff later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we're on the USS Corsair, and we're getting some shots inside the sub, seeing what's going on, seeing life. And
you know what? No, the date happens here.
Does it?
Yeah, because remember he realizes that the lady is the captain's girlfriend when they get back from this tour and they're drinking all that milk and eating butter and shit.
Oh, yeah, that's
Remember
right.
they have like the milk?
It's a funny sentence.
Yeah, so
and
anyways,
those fresh vegetables.
And fresh vegetables. So yeah, no, anyways, before they set sail, they also go on a date, one more date, where, she feels like she's kind of falling in love because she's like, where are you taking me? She's like, he's like, I'm taking you to like a special restaurant. They show up and it's actually his grandma's house.
Yeah.
His grandma is this randy old lady who is like talks all kinds of shit. She jokes all the time. She's great. She's actually my favorite character pretty much. There's also a butler who's like real weird, but like whatever.
This I think is actually later. But
this is fine. Later?
This is after, but Jesus. It's fine.
Oh, well, it's all mixed up in my head.
It is. This part, but it is funny because when he takes her on this date, she's like, where are you taking me? I'm taking you to a roadhouse. It's like, yeah, here we go.
But it's not. It's to his grandma's
It's not
house.
roadhouse. Yeah.
So should we save it for later or should we just say it right now? It's kind of basically it's just like a date.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
And the grandma's great and everyone loves the grandma.
Well, first she's like, Jean is pissed.
Yeah.
She's like, you took me here? Oh my gosh. Because she sees a photo of him in there. And
she's like, but look at this house. My God, it's so huge.
And then all of a sudden she is just like, once she meets the grandma, she's loving it.
Yeah,
it's
the grandma is like the key. And then what's funny is that he
like tells his grandma to get the hell out of there.
Get out of here. Also, he tells tells Jean, like, oh, by the way, like when I tricked you earlier, when I pulled that prank on you, it wasn't for like a long-term thing. Like, if you know what I mean, I was trying to just like get it in,
Yeah.
But now I'm like legitimately have feelings for you.
Craziness.
And it gives her his ring or something. Yeah, you're right. This did happen.
It's class ring. Yeah.
This did happen later.
It did.
Whatever.
It's fine.
I fucked it up.
You blew it, man.
Yeah. Anyways,
you blew it. So anyway, back on the sub.
Yeah. Now they're setting sail.
Yeah. Earlier in the movie. Time travel.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
It's kind of like we're doing this kind of like Pulp Fiction. It's fine.
Right. It's out of order.
And we see the Cobb has to give some command, and he really looks like he's about to die from pushing a button.
I don't necessarily love the side stories of these submarine ones. They always feel like they have to have some side characters who have like this, big storyline. Here it was the Cobb plus this mess hall guy. What was his name? Oliver or something?
I'm not sure.
Ollie? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
yeah, their relationship was a little odd.
It was a little strange.
So anyways, if his name is Ollie, I can't even remember. But
look it up.
He's like, okay, that Cobb looks like he's having a really hard time. I better follow him. I better follow him back to his bunk. And then Cobb goes back there, takes some pills. And then the guy, after the Cobb leaves, he goes through his bag and he's like, look at these pills. They're nitroglycerin.
And he's like, asks the guy, he's like, pharmacist, why would you take nitroglycerin? And the guy's like, whoa, that's some pretty powerful drugs. If I knew someone who had a heart condition, I'd think twice about taking nitroglycerin.
Yeah. They're like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow. This is a really important storyline that I'm very invested in.
Yeah. It never came to fruition.
Kind of, yeah. That's true.
Anyways, now now Ward, Mr. Greasy, is talking in the conn about how this sub basically sucks and they could have totally finished this patrol with a PT boat in no time.
Yeah.
And just keeps going on. He's like PT boats have everything.
Whatever.
Except a waffle iron.
And everyone's like, ha, 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 ha. And then the captain's like, oh shit, there's a boat.
Yeah, they spot a freighter. Yeah. And they go up and they start checking it out.
It's got a Swedish flag. They're like, that's weird.
Look at those Swedes.
I wonder what these Swedish people are doing here.
But they have a distress flag up too.
They're like, okay, maybe we'll send some people over there. Get in that boat.
Yeah. So they surface. They send a boarding party, I guess, to go and see what's going on.
And they're like paddling, and Ward's probably saying like, oh, my fucking PT boat will go much faster than this raft.
Yeah. And everybody's like, yeah, dude, you're totally right. This raft sucks. And then in probably my favorite moment of the movie, it's just so ridiculous.
Why would they do it? Well, I don't even understand why they do this.
Like they're flying the Swedish flag.
And they're quickly like, take down the Swedish flag. Put up that Nazi flag, baby.
Yeah, it just like shoots up the flagpole. They're like, oh no.
And because then it alerts everyone to do everything. They could have just kept that Swedish flag up and they would have been totally taken by surprise. Instead, they're like, raise that Nazi flag and like, oh, there we go. Oh boy.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden,
it's like a false front to their boat and stuff. It like down. It's all kinds of
down.
Guns.
They got cannons and all sorts of stuff all over this thing. Like, it's pretty incredible.
Raft, get back here real quick. And so they turn around and they try to they shoot back and forth for a while, and eventually they are able to get on back onto the boat.
But they almost left, the sub has to almost leave because they're taking fire like crazy.
Yeah, but then they're like, oh, they're almost here.
So let them on.
Yeah, and they crash dive, as the name would tell us, and they turn around and just destroy this freighter.
Oh my word.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of stuff, right? There's a bunch of
depth charges,
and the captain gets knocked out. Remember? And so Ward has to take over as captain, and so he's the one who ends up.
They also give
firing.
During this scene while they're getting depth charge, they're like, all right, everybody be quiet. Let's take a 10-minute smoke break.
Yeah, which was something that was mentioned in a bunch of places of trivia, being like,
you would never do
not
that.
Not with that type of submarine. You wouldn't have done that because you don't have any way to vent that smoke. You just fill the submarine with smoke.
Yeah.
So
and then to throw off the Nazis, we got to see a classic move that we've seen in other movies. They eject a bunch of clothing and trash and stuff from the torpedo tubes,
and
let up an oil slick.
They sent up dummies?
They did make dummies, and I don't know why you would do that.
Why would you fucking make a dummy?
Because if they looked at it, they'd be like, well, that's just like a pillowcase. They didn't even draw eyes on it.
Yeah, all the pillows that they hug when they sleep has been come out of the submarine. Clearly, it's been destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, but then the Nazis are like, oh, we totally got them, like a bunch of chumps. Oh, my word.
Really? Ooh. I feel like we've not been talking that long, but whatever. Ooh. I've just enjoyed myself.
Don't worry. There's not a whole. I mean, like, there's more love story and stuff.
And there's only three of us. So it's like,
yeah. Fine. But anyways, the Nazis buy it, and then
I know
they just like blow up the freighter.
I also loved it that Ward kept on being like so surprised by the captain's like different schemes. He's like, "Why would we do that?" And then they send the stuff him. He's like, and you can see in his face, he's like, "Oh, fucking genius, man."
Yeah, this guy really knows what's going on.
Whereas now we've seen like 800 films that do it. Like, obviously send it for an oil slick, whatever.
Yeah. Like, dude, that's day one.
Yeah.
But anyways, they light the freighter up. They get back home, and then, oh boy, now it's time to get some fresh vegetables and drink some milk and eat some butter.
Yeah, so they're super celebrated because they were. And one of the things that they've also find out is like, there's a good chance. Oh, I guess this happens later. So they're macking on celery like crazy.
Yeah.
They like can't get enough of this fucking celery, which is weird because who likes celery? I like it in soups.
Do you? You like it in soups, like specifically?
Yeah.
Like it adds a little bit of texture, I guess.
Well, it adds the flavor. It's like celery and onions are like the base of a soup and meat, obviously.
How about you, Zach? You like celery?
I like it with a little dab of peanut butter.
Oh, no.
I'm more of a cucumber guy myself.
Oh, good call. I like cucumbers better, too. But anyways, they ask for a bunch of fresh fruit, a whole shitload of milk. They can't get enough of this fucking milk. But then they bring out the fruit, and there's like just a pile of it, and they're like, I'm going to destroy this fruit.
Yeah.
And anyways, the captain's saying he has to jet to Washington because they're going to like give him an award or some shit. And then this is when Ward heads off and has that date. That's why I forgot about it.
But also, the most important part here of the B storyline is going on. Cobb's going to get promoted.
Yes.
But Cobb says no.
Do you know why did he say no?
Because he has a heart condition, man. And he can't pass a physical.
He wouldn't pass that physical. And he's like, oh, but you have to get a physical in 6 months anyways. And he's like, well, I'll deal with that later and, whatever. And so, but, Oliver, he's sitting there and he's like, why is this? Why are you doing this? And he's like, because I was a coward in World War I didn't go on a patrol. I got out of it. I pretended to be sick. Now I'm really sick, but at that time I pretended to be sick. And the submarine went out, and it fucking sunk. And I wasn't a hero, and I'm still alive, and that sucks.
Dude, it's like Final Destination, man.
Right. And so death has been chasing him this entire time.
Mm-hmm. People have been dying in crazy accidents. We haven't even been mentioning it.
Right. Almost exclusively because of Mac's time when he was supposed to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
There was one time where there was a torpedo, right? And then you're like, oh, that's just a regular torpedo. But then a marble fell off of a part of the submarine and knocked the propeller, which then leaked some gas that lit on fire, and a guy lit on fire. It's a full body burn.
Incredible.
It was a crazy scene.
It was nuts.
Yeah. And so anyways, he's like, Mac's like, I got to do it. I got to not be a coward. And Oliver's like, okay, I'll keep it secret.
Yeah.
I'll keep you a secret, man. And we're like, this relationship's interesting.
Yeah. I'd like to learn more about it.
Yeah.
But anyways, then when the captain gets back and gets his award or whatever.
This is after the date that we already have talked about. We talked a whole bunch about. Grandma was great, whatever.
And they're in the captain's quarters or whatever he's in. And
he's telling them,
I'm going to marry this chick. I love her, dude. She's the best.
Like, I got this extra stripe. I'm ready to do it. Also, we're going back on patrol because they're pretty sure we found like a secret base. And so like they're super jazzed for us to go out and destroy it. And I'm also excited to do that.
Who wouldn't want to assault a secret base?
Drink all the milk you can right now because you got to do it. And also I'm going to marry this lady.
He's like, and here's your picture. Just look at it.
And he's like, oh shit, that's this lady I'm in love with.
No.
And so then he's like, I'm gonna meet her right now. And so Ward's like, I gotta go. And he runs over there real quick to the officers' quarters or whatever.
Yeah.
And meets with her and is like, you gotta like, this is my best friend. We are best friends.
We did one tour. We are inseparable.
We are super best friends, and you gotta marry him. And she's like, what? I'm not even in love with him. I'm in love with you. And he's like, oh man, it's going to destroy him though. Way. At least, do it like later or something.
Yeah.
I remember what he says.
Yeah. He's like, do that so you don't have to tell him and break his heart. And he's like, you just did. Because he's outside already.
He just walked out. He's like looking at them. He's like, what the fuck? Man. And so anyways, we smash cut over to their tour. And he's like, pretty much pissed at him because the accident.
Well, obviously so.
Ward comes up and is like, hey, is there anything I can do? And he's like, you can fuck off. How about that?
I would. Is that a direct quote?
Direct quote
From a 1940s submarine love story.
Yeah, it's like, and that's a direct order.
Yeah. So they get to this base pretty quick.
Yeah, they find it not so bad. They're kind of excited, like, oh man, we're never gonna find this thing, and they're like, oh shit, there's a boat. And then
there it is.
Again, another time when the XO is like, Ward is like super surprised. He's like, let's destroy it, man. And the captain's like, no, we're not going to destroy it. And he's like, what? We're not going to destroy it? What a coward. But then he's like, we're going to follow it to the base. And the look on Ward's face is like, oh man, what a genius.
All right, we got to speed this up.
Yeah, so anyways, they follow this boat. They get through the submarine nets. It's been a while since we had a submarine net.
Yeah, they do the classic move. They sneak in underneath the boat, in through the submarine nets. When they're pulled back. They got to go through a minefield. They do get snagged on a mine.
But nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, anticlimactic there. Then they're like, oh, we're going to send out a landing party. They're going to blow up a bunch of stuff. And he's like, oh, Ward, you're going to lead it because I want you to die. And Ward's like, oh, shit. And then he's like, who else wants to go? Anyone who's not married. Ward, you're not married specifically because I know you're not married because you've been he's like, after my future wife or whatever. And Ward's like, shit. And then a bunch of other people volunteer, including Mac and Oliver.
Yeah.
So they head off and they go on like a little dinghy and they head to shore. The idea is that they're going to blow a bunch of stuff up and they have 30 minutes to get back because then they're going to be shooting torpedoes and they got a jet.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the submarine's going to stay on the bottom of the water until they hear the first explosion, and then they're going to start their torpedoes.
Yeah. And they get to shore pretty quickly, and the thing that I thought was funny is they only have 30 minutes. When they get to shore, they're like talking about where they're going to go. They're like planning it. I'm like, you guys only have 30 minutes. You should have been doing this really like a long time ago. You guys are freaking me out.
Yeah. So anyways, they head up and they're timing all these things. It seems super lax, and they're in the kind of the protection of this base, but whatever. It's like, oh, they get 70 seconds to get through this thing. It's like, oh, that's not protecting it very well. So anyways, they head up, they set the bombs to explode. There's like a little bit of a shootout. People start coming out, but the explosions go off, and these are gigantic explosions.
They are incredible explosions.
And there's fire everywhere. The effects here are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Just from the point of view of it's like a mix of models and people on matte painting type of stuff and all kinds of things, basically throwing out all the stops. No wonder it won the Oscar because it looks really great.
It does.
This destruction of the base. Submarines blowing shit up.
There's a really cool picture of the submarine that I even put on our Twitter where it's rising up out of the water and you can see flames behind it. I was like, that is really cool.
Everyone starts heading back and, the Ward is like, I'm going to stay behind. I'm going to cover and then I'll join you guys. Mac and Oliver decide to stay behind because they're going to they realize they want to be heroes. Oliver's just naturally a hero. Mac wants to be a hero because he was a coward before.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of times where Ward almost dies, but then Oliver helps out and they both almost die, but Mac helps out. Mac stays behind while they jump into the water to swim because they didn't catch the boat.
Yeah.
The dinghy to get it out there. And Mac ends up getting shot, but then protects them again, does one last heroic deed before he dies.
Before he falls off a cliff with a thud.
Yeah, you would think that he would have died of a heart attack, but
he got shot.
No, he got shot. So
yeah,
regardless of whether he had a heart condition, it wouldn't really have mattered. It was more about becoming a hero, and he was.
Yeah.
So
meanwhile, the submarine is just blowing shit up like crazy. They are kicking some serious ass in this bay.
Yeah, the raft gets there, everyone gets on, they're like, we gotta go, it's 30 minutes, we can't wait for these people. And then as they're about to close the hatch and like the captain's basically trying to pull it closed, he's like, no, like we gotta get out of here. And they're like, no, Ward's right there, I can actually see him. And they're like, nah, fuck.
Yeah.
And they're swimming and they get them on board too, but as they're kind of trying to dive and stuff, they actually get the periscope gets destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, we're done for because there's no way we can get out. And the captain, in one of the craziest things, is like, I'm going to stay up here. I'll be your periscope.
Yeah.
He's got like a microphone on. He's like, I'm ready to periscope the shit out of this thing.
Yeah. He's like, dive to 30 feet, which is enough to keep him above the surface. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he's still he's probably up to like his chest in water or whatever. And freezing. So he is directing them where they can shoot.
It's like in Greenland or something.
Yeah. And dude, they look towards the submarine nets. And there's a ship coming in, and he just says, blow that thing up and gives them command. And it works. Yeah. It's incredible.
He's crazy. And then they blow up. They do one last blow. They blow up the whole conn tower of the sail of the submarine. And you'd think he would have been killed.
Well, yeah, the Nazis turned their guns on the sub and hit him.
Yeah, but then he survives with only like a scratch on his arm.
You know why?
Why?
Because when they bring him back down into the sub, they're like, let me give you some cigarettes.
Oh, good.
He's like,
that's right.
Dude, thank you.
Not a sponsor. Cigarettes in general.
Yeah. We're sponsored by cigarettes. Smoke them if you got them.
Oh, boy. And so then they get home. Everyone is like really happy about that. Everyone's like pretty jazzed that they did what they were able to do. We see one last little scene. Our boy Ward and Jean, they're getting married.
Yeah.
And she's loaded now because he's got like a nice mink coat. Grandma's there, like, you're getting all my money. Don't worry about it. Butler's there, like, yeah, she has a butler. Don't worry about it. And then
his uncle was there.
Yeah.
And Zach, what's the conversation like with Ward and his uncle at the very end?
Really put me on the spot there, Kyle. might have been finding those really great Zac Facts, and I might have missed this. So please refresh my memory.
This is where the uncle says, well, how do you think about those submarines now? Or he's like, I bet you really want to get back on those PT boats.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know this.
This is when the whole recruiting part starts.
Yeah, it's actually, it's legitimately like a 4-minute scene of them recruiting for the Navy.
Yeah.
They're like, PT boats, I now understand the role of every part of the Navy in the war effort.
And they're showing these glamorous shots of them, like, skimming over the water, and it's just... Man, they
I
make
understand
it look
the
nice.
aircraft carriers that bring the airplanes to do that. The cruisers that protect the aircraft carriers, and the destroyers and the dreadnoughts and the super dreadnoughts that are really there to fight the war, and the PT boats that are able to go out and destroy things. And the submarines, oh man, you better believe those submarines are out doing their duty. Oh boy, oh boy.
And then buy your war bonds at this theater.
The end.
And then just cuts.
Yeah, apparently they even did recruiting at the theaters that it was playing at.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
I'm not surprised at all, because once you came out of this thing, you'd be like, I want a piece of that action.
Yeah, dude.
Straight
no
up.
kidding.
Oh, and also a captain has dick out or something at some point.
You missed it, man.
No, I didn't miss anything. I just did it.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Sure.
Well,
you could have had it when he was standing on top of the sub in the water.
And he's got all shriveled because of how cold he was up there.
Yeah.
He's like, bring me down.
But his wouldn't get shriveled because he's a captain, right?
Bring it up to 25 feet so my captain dick can recover.
I'm experiencing shrinkage.
She's like, oh, man. Oh, no. Everyone's like freaking out.
I've had shrinkage before.
Shrinkage, but the captain dick.
Think about his dick.
Yeah. So I almost missed it. The problem is that Dewey was more or less cock-blocked this entire film.
By Ward.
And that's not usually how we think of the Captain XO dynamic.
No, it's really not.
So it just kind of threw me for a loop.
Disgust me.
Love disgust you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Big time.
All right. Ready for some ratings?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. I can go first
Do it.
if you guys want. I even wrote out a review. So
let's hear it.
Crash Dive from 1943.
Crash Dive.
So for a film being made in the 40s, I think the visuals are extremely impressive.
Very good.
The miniature work was, I thought, excellent. The shots of the sub I really actually enjoyed. Mm-hmm. There was one scene I remember in particular which we didn't really mention, but the sub was surfacing, and it looked like they had an underwater camera or something mounted to the deck of the sub, and you got to see it all come up. I was like, that is pretty slick. Also, the beginning of the movie when the PT boats were rolling in to save those stranded survivors, those shots were pretty incredible too. And they were really using those PT boats for quite a bit. And I also really liked it when they were fighting the Nazis on their first mission, like seeing the freighter, especially that flag shoot up. Yeah. And just like the sides flip down, all the cannons and everything, I thought that was just like great. And dude, literally the end of the movie, the action I thought was incredible. When they get onto land, there's so many explosions going on. The only thing I think it could have really benefited from with like today's technology would be the sound. I think the sound could have been a lot better. But
and also some of the green screen stuff would have looked better nowadays.
True.
But it's what you got to do. I mean, it was so dynamic, all the effects that they were trying to do and bringing together models and people and places and all these things. Yeah. And using real like PT boats. But obviously the actors were only going to be in a small number of scenes on the PT boats.
Right.
That it's hard to do that kind of stuff.
It is.
Back in 1943. I
kidding.
know from experience because I made a movie in 1943 and it was tough.
I bet.
Let me tell you.
But what did fall short for me, it's just probably for a lot of people, was the love story. I didn't really think. I know we talk about things aging well. I don't think this really aged well at all.
It did not.
Yeah.
Why not, Kyle?
It seemed pretty forced and a little
she-
aggressive and really stalkerish.
She tricked her
Yeah.
into loving him, which is strange.
Yeah, and that was intertwined throughout the entire movie. But did we need the dynamic between the captain and the XO? I don't know.
Very classic movie
Yeah.
in that regard. The love triangle, especially the military love triangle, is such like a classic
Oh yeah,
storyline.
gotta have it.
But
I did like the scene though where he basically told his grandma like, "Hey, thanks for dinner, but get the hell out of here. I'm trying to do something."
old lady, you're cramping my style.
Yeah, we didn't see much of her like interacting with the captain, but the captain was like, "I'm going to marry this woman, and we're so in love." But anyways, another thing that really threw me off was how similar the guys look, and I'm glad that you had that problem too, because I was like, maybe something's wrong with me. But
Yeah, maybe you're racist.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't.
Tall, handsome, cleft-chinned, dark-haired guys.
White guys, yeah.
You're like, I cannot tell the difference between you.
Yeah, they all look the same.
That's why you can't tell the difference between me and other tall, dark-haired, handsome people.
Exactly.
Right.
But the action when it was there was great.
Yeah.
Loved it. And especially for 43. I didn't feel like I was watching a movie from 43.
I agree with that.
It was in color, which was great too for a movie this time. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 7.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna be doing the second one. I'm gonna come in a little higher than you. I'm gonna come in with a 7.5.
Whoa.
Because I did like the acting. One thing that I always find when I watch these older films is that oftentimes the actresses, I just feel like this is a pretty famous actress, Anne Baxter, but I feel like it's just like so underrated. You hear so many stories of the kind of like Hollywood system chewing up and spitting out these actresses back in the day, kind of like trading in for the younger models kind of stuff. But God, some of them are just, they're just like so amazing as actresses. And I thought she was really, really good. And I like the other actors as well. I really like the action. I really like the visuals. I agree. The love story is probably what was the weakest.
Yeah.
It needed to be tightened up. It really dominated the movie, which was kind of crazy.
I wish there was less.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
More sub, less that.
And it's funny for it being like saying that we wanted less of it is because you still didn't get a great picture of certain aspects of it. As you say, you didn't really see a good picture of the relationship of the captain and her, and you don't get a great idea of exactly them falling in love. I mean, a lot of it's just these very long dates and stuff like that. And it seems like everything's kind of founded on money, which is a little weird for your love story, where it's like,
It may be true.
trade in the captain who's poor for the very rich, very clearly wealthy XO who takes her out to extravagant parties. Seems a little strange. But overall, I thought it was, I enjoyed it. I thought the storyline was quite good. The acting was quite good. Visuals were quite good. The action at the end and how it kind of played out with this climactic scene, I thought was really good. So I enjoyed myself. I'm going to get 7.5.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then normally this is the part of the episode when I come in and say how I hate older movies and I give something like this a 3. But I'm not going to do it this time. So I started watching this at the gym today. And, and then I got back and I had dinner and I finished up the last like 30 minutes of it. And you guys kind of touched on everything, but I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought the effects were great. Kyle, I think you said it did not feel like a movie from 1943, and that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, man, this movie's better than some of these movies in the 60s we were watching.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Better than some from the 90s.
Yes. So I enjoyed it. I
Think
liked
about Neptune Factor. Neptune Factor, my friends.
I liked how we got some action, like not big action, but some, some ocean scenes, some sub scenes in the beginning. The romance definitely dragged. I didn't really care too much about it, and that guy was creepy AF. But, the ending really saved it. I loved the action, loved the effects. And then, I really feel like joining the Navy. So,
That's right. We all joined the Navy.
yeah, all in all, I'd say this was a good ride, a good trip. And, I'm going to give it a good old-fashioned Zac. I mean, would I ever watch it again? No. So let's say 6.
Oh, wow.
That is surprisingly high for you.
Yeah, but love's in the air. So it is spring.
Love is in the air.
Oh,
So I'll be generous.
very true.
All right. Should we get some trivia?
We should, because I think we're running a little long on this episode.
We can't. It's not possible. The submarine primarily featured as the Corsair is the experimental USS Marlin, SS-205, with a conning tower modified to resemble her sister USS Mackerel, SS-204, and those are both Mackerel-class submarines.
Mackerel.
Yep. A few O-class and R-class submarines built in World War I and used for training in World War II are visible in the background of some shots. Because of security reasons, no submarine classes that were actually being used in combat in World War II appeared in the film. And that's why you get experimental submarines and these older classes of submarines seen in the film almost exclusively. The USS Semis, AG-24EXDD-189, rolls off the tongue, is seen in one shot. And yeah, so there's probably not a huge number of good Technicolor views of a four-stack destroyer. So that's actually like a pretty important shot that they had of the USS Semis. As we said, the picture received an Academy Award for special effects. John Payne and Randolph Scott were originally set to star. So those are two famous actors that you guys obviously know, so we won't talk any more about them.
Right.
Yeah, you're just like huge fans of John Payne and Randolph Scott. This was the final film for Tyrone Power which was, he played Ward. Prior to entering military service as a private. So he was credited in the film as Tyrone Power USMCR because he's in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves. And then on the 1st of October 1942, he was allowed to defer in order to do this movie, and it finished shooting in mid-November 1942, and then he went into the Army, and he didn't make a movie until 1946 when he was in The Razor's Edge. 1946. He actually ended up dying at a very young age. He died at 44. From a heart attack while filming a film.
Really?
Yep.
That's terrible.
A lot of this is kind of like a common story for these movies of this time. According to Hollywood Reporter, William Perlberg was originally going to be a producer, but he joined the Marine Corps. So Milton Sperling produced instead. The movie had 2 working titles. Submarine School, rate it.
Submarine School?
That was the other name of it?
That's one possible working title.
I'd give that like a 3.
Yeah, and then SS-111, SS-111.
That's like a 1.
And then even when they had Crash Dive, they wanted to potentially change it because the producers were concerned that they would think it was a airplane movie.
Oh, fair enough.
Don't worry. I got another one that you must have missed too, Jamie. So.
Oh, is there another name?
Yeah, there's one more.
Oh, okay. I must have missed one. The movie represents one of the select few of World War II submarine movies that have won Academy Award in technical category. So Crash Dive, The Enemy Below, Torpedo Run, U-571.
Oh, Torpedo Run.
And then Hunt for Red October also won 1 Oscar, as well as 49th Parallel. And then, of course, there was Best Picture for Hunter Killer starring Gerard Butler.
Obviously.
Right.
Easy.
Everybody knows that,
Easy.
though.
Yeah. As I mentioned, just to be very clear, the later pictures Crash Dive and Crash Dive 2 are not remakes of this film.
No way. Because you watch them and you think,
Believe it or not, yeah.
classic.
Yeah, believe it or not, they merely all share being submarine movies.
Oh.
That's what they say in the IMDb.
That's really what it
That's
says.
what it says, yeah.
Oh, my word.
All right, the film utilizes an oft-used storyline of the war movie genre, the love triangle, which has 2 soldiers in love with the same girl. In fact, it was the plot of the first Best Picture winner, Wings. But that was it with airplanes. And it was also the plot of the equally good film,
Wait,
Pearl
did you
Harbor.
say airplanes?
Yeah, airplanes.
Gosh, dude, I wish that was about like a wing restaurant. Wings.
Or like a Nantucket airport.
Oh, yeah.
Wings.
Kyle, that could be a movie. It's called Wings, and it's about 2 guys that go to a bar and the female waitress. Boom.
Oh, my word, and they fall
There it
in
is.
love?
Yeah.
Oh, love triangle.
There we go. How's it end?
That's for
A
you
lot
to
of wing
find out.
sauce, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So what other cases of love triangles would have done well with this love triangle? So we're replacing all 3 actors, 2 actors and the actress, with this set of love triangles. And how would they have done?
City Slickers.
Good call. Hugh Grant, Colin Firth, Renee Zellweger from Bridget Jones.
Yeah.
I'm going to
So
say
Hugh
no.
Grant, I mean, obviously Colin Firth is the captain.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant is the smarmy stalker. And then Renee Zellweger is the teacher.
I could see Hugh Grant like laying in that bed in the train.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Couldn't you, Zach, or no?
Younger. It had to be
I actually
younger.
think that's really
Hugh
great.
Grant.
Yeah. More from Bridget Jones 1 rather than Bridget Jones 3. That's what you're saying. What about Taylor Lautner, Robert Pattinson, and Kristen Stewart from Twilight?
Oh, God.
You mean Kristen?
Kristen, yeah. Sorry.
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart.
Her male counterpart.
If that's the cast and they turn this into a vampire movie, then sure, why not?
Now you're in.
Oh, a sub-vampire movie?
Well,
That's
you got to
also
be
a
clear.
love
It's not just a vampire movie. It's a vampire or werewolf movie.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. And then they could really be at odds on a sub?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now, this is one that I thought actually made some sense for this, because Ben Stiller, Ethan Hawke, Winona Ryder from Reality Bites. That one actually is kind of similar to this. Ben Stiller really is like the captain type character. Mm-hmm. Ethan Hawke is very much like more of the smarmy character in that, and Winona Ryder is trying to decide between the two.
I have never heard of this movie.
You don't know what a Reality Bites is?
No. Do you know it, Zach?
Yeah. I like Winona Ryder and Ben Stiller a lot.
What about Josh Hartnett, Chris Klein, and Lily Sobieski in Here on Earth?
Chris
The best movie that's ever made. So obviously in this case, Josh Hartnett is the captain, Chris Klein is the rebel XO, and then Lily Sobieski is the teacher. Oh boy, and she has knee cancer. Oh no, and now she's sick again. Oh no.
Great.
That's from Here on Earth.
She has knee cancer?
That's the plot of Here on Earth. She has
knee cancer.
Well, she has bone cancer.
I like
the knee cancer better.
Okay, and then finally, the best one, Ed Harris, and Meryl Streep. Now,
sure, yeah.
That was a film called Operation Love, where Ed Harris played a pair of twins. So one is a brain surgeon, the other is a deadbeat stoner. Oh boy, he's like really stretching his acting chops there. But both fall in love with Meryl Streep's character, and she runs a grease factory. So in the end, Ed Harris lobotomizes his twin brother, but it backfires because the operation turns him into a super genius. And he's able to totally revamp this grease factory, make it profitable again, and stop the evil grease tycoon, played by Tim Curry, who's trying to buy the factory. And he ultimately wins Streep's affections. And this obviously won Best Picture. So
I'd watch that.
I'd watch that 100 times.
So you watch that film, or do you want to replace the cast?
Film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're not replacing the cast of this film. We're just going to watch that film.
Well, I guess it'd pretty much be the same, because we basically thought we were watching the same person on screen for most of the movie.
Yeah, basically, it could have been played by the same person. We just wouldn't have known
so maybe we had Ed Harris with long hair or something.
Yeah, he's a stoner.
Just a blatant wig.
Platinum blonde.
All right. And then it was actually kind of a hard Phantom Zone this time.
No, but you probably did it.
Yeah.
Engage the Phantom.
Phantom's engaged, sir.
So it's hard to find a definite starting point. One of the main characters, Dewey, our Captain Dewey, is played by Dana Andrews, who was also in the 1965 film In Harm's Way. So he was in actually a few films that mention submarines, but a lot of them are like, hunting submarines. So it's like, U-boats after them and attacks a boat and it sinks and stuff like that. So probably you see a U-boat, but very briefly or whatever. In this case, it's not super submarine centric, but it involves a bunch of anti-submarine stuff. And then the main character has to go on a submarine in order to spy on the Japanese. So it does seem like he's on a submarine at one point. So I'll take it. And
is that starring John Wayne and Kirk Douglas?
Yes. So then it's super easy from there, since Kirk Douglas is in that one. And obviously we saw him in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He was Ned Land. And from there we can just use that. And it's kind of interesting because I went back. We watched that one so long ago that it wasn't called Phantom Zone at that point yet. I called it 6 Degrees of Separation or something.
Ooh.
And then it involves Teru Shimada, obviously.
Oh.
So long ago that Teru Shimada was like in every single cycle of
yeah.
Game. But there's a whole bunch of great ones. And that's when I detailed like Neptune Factor and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and stuff like that. That was the first time I had seen those films or heard of those films.
Yeah. And that's how we found so many of those films.
Because I used them in the Phantom Zone.
Incredible.
So there we go. That's the end of that one.
Loved it. Absolutely stunning.
Oh. Thank you.
Glowing endorsement. Yeah. All right. It's world wide.
You didn't do a mackerel class, did you?
I did not.
Ah.
That'd be way too easy. So, in this submarine movie, what did we hear about the most?
PT boats.
Yes, so this is actually not Subs Worldwide. This is PT Boats Worldwide.
Whoa! I do not like this.
I know. Dude, they talked about them so many times.
It's
I
true.
just had to use them.
Valid.
So, the PT boat, anybody know what it's condensed, what the PT stands for?
No.
Private tubes.
Exactly. Patrol torpedo.
Perfect.
It is a fast attack vessel, and what made it so popular, it was very maneuverable and inexpensive. These were used to fight warships, tankers, transports, barges, and sampans.
But wait. Did they... No submarines?
I did not mention submarines.
Liars!
They probably did.
Oh, okay. Because they were so good.
Yeah, we'll just say that. I think they even mentioned this in the movie. The United States did mention or nickname these boats the Mosquito Fleet.
Oh.
I think they might have called them a mosquito boat at one point. And the Japanese referred to them as devil boats.
Ah, because they're so good.
Yeah. Oh, those devils. So the original design was created by W. Albert Hickman, who designed the Sea Sled. At first, the idea was shot down by both the U.S. and the U.K., but Hickman persevered and kept improving the boat, and eventually the General Board of the U.S. Navy commissioned one of his designs. And they had the C-378 model. And listen to this. This sounds so dangerous. It's not a V-hull, it's an inverse V-hull. So it's actually what like modern day catamarans are based off of.
Oh.
But it hit a top speed of 37 knots, which equals 43 miles per hour, held an average speed of 34.5 knots, which is just under 40 miles an hour.
Quick question.
Yeah,
Think you could run that fast?
never.
Oh.
During a storm, so that fast, during a storm with 12 to 14 foot waves. Can you imagine whipping around at 40 miles an hour?
That'd be intense,
Waves
dude.
I can't even
Be crazy.
imagine that. It's ridiculous. So these were actually routinely used by the Army and Navy, not for attack boats, but for like rescue purposes and what's the word I'm looking for? Like ferrying things around. Oh. The Navy eventually held a contest for the best design for a new PT boat, but said it cannot be Hickman's Sea Sled.
Oh, shit.
And the guy who won the contest...
Was Hickman.
No. The guy who won the contest, George Crouch, said that the Sea Sled was far superior to any of the designs. But they still didn't go with it.
That's weird. Hickman must have been an asshole or something.
No, I'll get into him a little bit later. But so the main weapons for the PT... There's all kinds of variations of these things, but some of the main weapons were 2 to 4 Mark 8 torpedoes that each weighed 2,600 pounds, and they contained a 466-pound TNT warhead. There were later boats that like went with a lighter torpedo, but
And one that went with a nuclear torpedo.
there should have been. These were launched by our classic 21-inch torpedo tube.
Great.
Duh.
Yeah, obviously.
And the torpedoes at a range of 1,600 yards at 36 knots. It's kind of funny if you were in one of these boats, you could outrun a torpedo, which would be really funny to be
Just
watching.
go right away from it.
Yeah, like holy shit, just turn around, let's go.
Or you shoot your torpedo and then you like
You run
go around
alongside it.
Yeah.
It also had 2 twin M2 50 cal guns, and like I said, there were many variations. Some had 30 cal machine guns mounted, and it seems like when they were looking what to outfit these boats with, they were just kind of screwing around. So and they were taking things from scrapped vehicles and like slapping them on them. So there was one boat that actually took a 37 millimeter anti-tank gun, strapped it to 2x8 boards and placed it on the bow of their boat, and were using that, which eventually like became one of the things. And then an Oldsmobile M4 aircraft cannon was taken from a P-39 era Cobra wreck, which sounds awesome. I wish it was just the Air Cobra. And they used that on one of the boats and found out it worked pretty well. And so then, like, they would send them to the factory and they'd put these things on. And they've been credited with sinking warships and would usually attack at night, which led to some friendly fire situations between them, boats, aircraft,
seagulls,
everything, really.
yeah. Fish.
And so with the Hickman design, I was trying to figure out, why were they so against this guy? Why didn't they want this design? He's from Nova Scotia.
There it is.
Right away. That's what I thought. He earned a marine engineering degree from Harvard in 1899.
Oh. That sounds pretty good, though.
Yeah. He was highly intelligent.
Well, okay.
But did not deal well with people who were less intelligent than him. And this would always irritate everybody. So like you said, he's probably an asshole.
He's a giant asshole.
That's what I'm guessing, is they're just like, we're not dealing with that guy. And like I had mentioned before, the sea sled is where we actually get the basis for catamarans and tunnel hull boats today.
He became a catamaran tycoon?
Yeah. He's probably in a catamaran right now.
Well, I mean, he did graduate from Harvard.
Patrol.
Yeah. He did graduate from Harvard in 1899, so I'm not sure he's doing much on catamarans at the moment.
Probably not.
Yeah. All right. Zach.
So
bring this guy home.
Whoa. Before we get into some facts, I'm going to do a little quick shout out to, I was bored one day and I was like, what can I find on the Google App Store with submarines? And I found a developer called Leaf Green. And you might have heard of Leaf Green's, some of their top apps, such as Hawk Sounds, Puppy Wallpapers, and Explosion Sounds. But you might not have known you might not have known they have one called Submarine Sounds. And this is a free app. And and we're going to give you a little taste right now.
Not a sponsor, by the way. Or is it? Whoa, that's some solid sound. Whoa. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the crushing of the hull?
Yeah. Yep. You got it. So that was just a sample of 3 out of their 8.
How much are you getting paid for it?
Absolutely nothing.
Whoa.
I know.
Yet.
So go to your next party with your friends and say, like, don't worry, guys, I got the sound for this. And play your submarine sounds, brought to you by Leaf Green. Not a sponsor.
There's a surprising amount of apps, just submarines.
I know. That was the highest rated one.
Yeah, the 3.7. All right.
Well, I can believe it because those sounds are pretty good.
Their glass breaking sound is rated a 4.3.
Ah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, so is that it, guys?
That's it, man.
Well, didn't we have a Zac Facts or
Hey!
no? Oh,
Finally!
No way.
Zac Facts, it's Zac Facts. When you're going down, get some Zac Facts when you're going down.
So we've got 3 Zac Facts for Crash Dive. So after this movie released, the Navy saw an increase of 69% in recruitment.
Oh, wow.
Take that, Jeopardy.
Very specific.
You better premise that for people who don't know what's going on with Jeopardy in '69.
Yeah, they just made it so you're not allowed to bet $69 in Final Jeopardy anymore, which is
bullshit.
stupid.
I'm gonna love the time when someone needs to just bet $69 to guarantee a win, and then they're like, "I'm sorry, you can't."
Yeah, it's absolutely
They bet 70
insane.
and lose.
Yeah, they bet 70 and lose, and they're like, "God damn it!"
Like, how many people were betting $69? Like, how many complaints were they receiving? Like, what?
It's just ahead of Gronkowski being on Jeopardy, probably. They saw him on the schedule for Celebrity Jeopardy, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
You know what he's gonna guess? Yeah.
Oh man! Every double Jeopardy, every final Jeopardy, he's betting 69. We better head this up.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more facts. Kyle, what was the name of the director again?
Oh, let me see.
Archie
Now I've got
Mayo,
all my-
right?
Archie Mayo.
Archie Mayo was quoted in an interview as saying, "One day, a group of guys will talk about this movie."
That's true.
That is very true. And
What a prediction.
is today that day?
Do we count as a group?
Are we guys?
I don't know.
I think we're dudes.
Dudes.
With a Z, actually.
Or bros?
Bros also with a Z.
Oh, man. That'd look like bras.
That would be too much. It would be like bras, like the Boz. Like
Yeah.
Brian Bosworth.
And the last
I think we do fit that description, though.
Oh, do we?
We
Okay.
fit the description
Okay.
of Brian Bosworth. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
The last fact to wrap up this hour-long episode. So we mentioned earlier different titles. Well, we missed one title, and this was Two Guys, a Girl, and a Submarine.
2 guys. Yep. Check. A girl. Yep.
Check.
And a submarine. Oh, it checks out.
Oh,
Boom.
my word.
Boom. There it is. And there it is.
Boom.
There it is.
Boom. There it is.
Dude, now that would be a good title.
I like it.
Certainly better than Submarine School.
Submarine School would legitimately be the one. It'd be like Rodney Dangerfield.
That would be like
Go back to submarine
Yeah.
school.
I get
Doesn't
no
get
respect.
any respect.
No respect down here.
No respect for
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield at submarine school.
5,000
Come
miles
on.
away from home. Still no respect.
when he's
great impression.
when he's assaulting the base.
Be like ski school.
That'd be
Be
good.
like, yeah. They'd be like, oh man, this like evil tycoon wants to take over the submarine school. We got to turn it into a bikini submarine school in order to attract. And then all of a sudden they start doing great business.
Yeah.
Because of the bikinis, obviously.
Obviously.
And then, yeah, they stopped the evil developer / tycoon.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every Thursday. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating on iTunes.